The jail buses rumbled along Constitution Avenue at night, making their way to the front gates of Jackie Robinson Stadium. The baseball field sits on the sprawling Veterans Affairs spread west of UCLA and is named after one of the school's most famous alumni and a civil rights trailblazer. The buses, mostly those of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, were there to drop off their passengers, each with dozens of handcuffed and zip-tied protesters who hit the streets after last week's death of George Floyd at the hands of Minnesota police. Some had injuries after being shot with rubber bullets or hit with batons. A few said they waited for hours to be booked and released into the night. The impromptu booking site is part of what demonstrators and some civil rights advocates have said is law enforcement's heavy-handed response to protests erupting across the city since last Wednesday. Or, perhaps, it is simply the best way to handle the onslaught of hundreds of arrests at one time, although neither the Los Angeles Police Department or a sheriff's official would discuss the strategy or explain the process. Some UCLA professors said they're enraged the university's off-site baseball stadium's grounds were being used as a booking site. In a letter to the LAPD, they called the site a field jail and said some UCLA students participating in the protests were taken there. They were detained and processed at a stadium on their own campus named after Jackie Robinson, an icon of the long and unfinished struggle for black freedom. Ananya Roy, a UCLA professor and director of the Luskin Institute on Inequality and Democracy, said in the letter. UCLA spokesman Steve Ritea said the school was not consulted over such use of the university's stadium, on land leased from the Department of Veterans Affairs. We are troubled by the accounts that Jackie Robinson Stadium parking lot was used as a field jail to process protesters, Ritea said in a statement. This was not done with UCLA's knowledge or permission. An LAPD spokesman declined to comment on the use of Jackie Robinson Stadium as a booking site. A spokeswoman for the Sheriff's Department said she did not have information about the sheriff buses being used to transport protesters. LAPD alone has arrested at least 500 people since last Wednesday tied to the groundswell of civil unrest. To process the thousands of arrests, the LAPD and the Sheriff's Department are taking most protesters to a handful of booking sites across the city. Some of these suspects have been arrested for property crimes such as looting or burglary. A few have been arrested for violent crimes, from assaulting police officers to attempted murder. Many of the arrests are made when police sweep a protest, lining up demonstrators against walls and tying their hands with zip ties.